Founder Acharya A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, his spiritual master here on the left, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So it fell on Thursday, February 29th, and we're celebrating for some time just to recognize this big milestone. Today, Her Grace Satyabhama Devi Dasi will deliver the discourse on the topic, the Lion Guru, which is what one of his nicknames was. So Satyabhama Devi Dasi is a disciple of Radhanath Swami. Can we please be quiet? Thank you so much. She's been associated with Iskcon Toronto from many, many years, 2001 if we're going to put a date, but she's a pillar here in our community, and she serves in so many capacities: Sankirtan, Rath Yatra Committee, Temple Council, Education, also some services in patron care, etc. So she has many hats. She professionally is a faculty at the University of Toronto and also works as a physician in university hospitals. Okay, thank you so much. We can welcome Satyabhama Devi Dasi.
Okay, so we will start with Jai Radha Madhav, and Julia is going to sing for us, so we need to wait for a microphone.
Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari, Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari, Jaya Kunja Jaya
today we are going to be talking about Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So you can see a poster on my left side where there's a lot of information provided about him. I would encourage all of you to come and read it, before you leave the temple today. So, is there anybody here who is at the temple for the very first time? Wow, quite a few people. So first of all, welcome to all of you. And you came on a very important day, so congratulations for coming today. Okay. How many of you have been here at least 10 times? At least. Okay, so that's good. So there are some people who know what happens here. How many of you were here for our last Janmashtami? How many of you could actually get into the temple? Right? Okay, wonderful. So, how many of you were here for the class that I gave on Makar Sankranti? And we have to do something about our attendance, right? Very sporadic. Anyway, that class was about geography, if you remember. Today we're going to talk about history. Okay? So, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati was one of the very important figures in the history of Gaudiya Vaishnavism. And so today I was trying to figure out how to make it relevant to people who are going to be in the audience, like all of you, right? Sometimes it's very difficult to imagine the impact of historical personalities because they don't seem relevant to us. What is somebody who was born 150 years ago, sannyasi in some remote place which we may not ever visit? How does that person be meaningful to us? So I'm going to try to make it a little bit more meaningful so that when you come to the temple in the future, you kind of understand why you're here and why it is important to know about Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur was born 150 years ago, and this is the year that we're celebrating that 150th appearance day. We call it appearance day because we believe that saintly personalities just come here with a purpose, and when they finish their purpose, they leave the planet, leave our planet, right? So this is his 150th appearance day, and this is a prayer that we usually would chant to honor him. So I'm just going to read the translation. I offer my respectful obeisances unto His Divine Grace, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, who is very dear to Lord Krishna, having taken shelter at His lotus feet. So this is another picture of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, and you can see that he was obviously a sannyasi, dressed in orange. So in order to understand who he is, I thought we'll go back a little bit in some historical time and try to understand some basic concepts of what is Vaishnavism. Because you may have heard that, So you may have heard the term Vaishnavism and what it, used very loosely. So let's try to understand what is Vaishnavism. So Vaishnavism is a part of, the vast conglomeration of Hinduism, which is like a, kind of a collective term, where Vaishnavism is mostly individuals who believe in worshipping Lord Vishnu. They believe Vishnu is the supreme personality. And so it is divided into different sampradayas. Sampradayas are like groups. So we have the Kumar Sampradaya, we have the Brahma Sampradaya, we have the Shri Sampradaya, and we have the Rudra Sampradaya. So these are 4 different parts of kind of Vaishnavism. And each of the Sampradayas has a different way of, following their spiritual practices. So if we look further into this, Brahma Sampradaya goes further into Madhva Sampradayas, related to Madhvacharya in South India. You may have heard of Madhvacharya. And subsequently, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he also took initiation in the Madhva Sampradaya. And he eventually established the Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Vaishnavism, which is what we are all part of here right now. So a little bit about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Who was Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? He was born in 1486. So we're talking about the 14th, 15th century here, right? Quite a few centuries ago. And during this time, he was born in West Bengal, in the region of Nadia, Gauda Desh, it's also called as. And his main principles were teaching Bhakti Yoga, congregational chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came on this planet to show us how to be a devotee. So he was like one of the greatest exemplary devotees of Lord Jagannath, Lord Krishna. And there are many, many stories and pastimes which demonstrate how he was so engrossed in the holy names and how he was like the most exemplary devotee. We are going to be celebrating the appearance of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu soon, this month, on the day of Holi, which is also called as Gaur Purnima. So in the next few weeks, we will be hearing more about Lord Chaitanya. But the most important activity that Lord Chaitanya engaged in was the Harinam chanting of the holy name, which you just witnessed at 6 o'clock, you will hear again at 8 o'clock, and it just goes on and on. So these are the few things that he basically taught. And his influence was felt in Bengal and Orissa. And not only that, he was on a missionary project. So he traveled all across India, meeting different people through different provinces, right up to South India, and then came back into Jagannath Puri. So his influence was felt all across India, and that's how the chanting of the Mahamantra actually spread in India in around 15th century. There are many teachings of Lord Chaitanya. There are books that we always refer to. Chaitanya Charitamrita, teachings of Lord Chaitanya. There are so many different books which are displayed outside every Sunday. So please feel free to have a look at them. But I picked one verse which is very commonly known, which basically is the principle by which Lord Chaitanya wanted everybody to live. And that was Yare Dekha Tare Kaha Krishna Upadesh Amara Ajna Guru Hana Tara Ek Desh, which means wherever you look, Yare Dekha, whichever side you look, please spread the glories and the message of Lord Krishna. The teachings that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu based on was the Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, and it was not something that you take and sit in your house and do it for yourself. This was a project for the outside. It was an outreach project. So he himself traveled across India and tried to give the message of Krishna. Krishna Upadesh. Upadesh means what Krishna spoke to other people, right? So Krishna Upadesh. And he said, whoever talks about Krishna, they are Guru, because they are teaching people about Krishna. You don't have to be a scholar to talk about Krishna. Like people say, oh yeah, I'll study, then I'll talk to other people. I'll finish my work and then I'll read, and then one day I'll retire and I'll read the Bhagavad Gita. That never happens. Because who knows, you may never retire. Right? So he said, whoever you see, talk about Krishna. Don't talk about nonsense. Don't talk about the war. Don't talk about the politics. Talk about Krishna, because that is more meaningful. And the principles on which he based this entire Gaudiya philosophy was Sankirtan. Sankirtan means distributing the holy name, distributing the holy literatures, and 4 regulative principles. And so this is just a picture to show you what the 4 regulative principles are. No meat eating, which exemplifies kindness. No intoxication, which alludes to austerity. No gambling, which means that you're very truthful. And no illicit sex, which implies cleanliness not only of the body, but the mind, the ego, and the soul. So these are the 4 principles by which one can live a dharmic life. This is not an easy thing to do in current day and age. But this is what the followers of Lord Chaitanya are doing even to this day. And so this is why we have these 4 regulative principles, because they're actually the 4 principles of freedom
which allow you to live a dharmic life. So this was the main philosophy which all of the followers of Lord Chaitanya indulged in. He had some key followers, the six Goswamis, Krishnadas Kavi Goswami, then the second generation, Narottam Das Thakur, Srinivas Acharya, Shyamananda Pandit. These are all devotees who in the 15th and 16th century and early 17th century compiled all the important books, all the books that you see outside. They have all been compiled by all these great devotees who were literary and spiritualists. So they had all these books translated, compiled so that common people could actually understand it. So very important works of literary works of these devotees actually lay the ground for the future, because ultimately the scriptures have to be accessible to us. I did not read the Bhagavad Gita until I got the English copy. Can you relate to that? Because although I come from an Indian background, Marathi is my primary language. I can read, I can write my own script, I can read Hindi, I can read Sanskrit. But it's still not my language of understanding. It's not the language that I think in, right? Because I went to an English medium school. So my primary language still is unfortunately English, right? So I actually I didn't know anything about anything really till I got a copy of the English Bhagavad Gita. And I'm sure many of you can relate to this. And if you don't relate to it now, eventually you will have children and then you will relate to it, right? If they read. So after the 17th century, there was a huge gap. There was a huge gap in the understanding of Lord Chaitanya's philosophy. And after the passing of Lord Chaitanya and some of his key associates and great devotees that are just enlisted here, there was a gap. And during that gap, the philosophy all got kind of convoluted. And people started following it in a very casual manner. What is that called? Sahajya. You may have heard the word Sahajyas. So there was a lot of misrepresentation of philosophical understanding, a lot of misrepresentation about understanding between Radha and Krishna and their relationship, and people were literally doing whatever they thought. There were huge amount of misrepresentation of philosophy, and the common people did not know where this is all going. At that time, in the 18th century, extending into the 19th century, was called Bhakti Vinod Thakur, right? So he was another very, very scholarly person, very impressive, very literary, and not only that, he was very much involved in working in the material world. So he was working for the British government. He was the deputy magistrate, and he had a large family. He was also writing a lot of books and collecting very important pieces of scriptures which were lost. And it's interesting that one of the books that he wrote, Sri Chaitanya, his life and precepts, was sent to Montreal, the University of Montreal, in 1896. So he was carrying forward the mission of Lord Chaitanya, that wherever you go, whoever you meet, please spread the name of Lord Krishna. And he was trying to spread Lord Chaitanya's mission in his own way. He fought all the apasampradayas, all the people who were misrepresenting the messages of Lord Chaitanya. He wrote books. He wrote amazing Vaishnava bhajans. The song that you just, the arti that you just heard, Ki Bajayo, is written by Bhakti Vinod Thakur. You will hear it every Sunday at 6 o'clock. And in the last line, you can actually hear his name in there, Bhakti Vinod, right? So that was also written by Bhakti Vinod Thakur. So his impact is even felt today, right? He was a district magistrate and he actually managed the Puri temple. So he did a lot of different things. He reconciled Western thinking. It was also the time of the British Raj. People were forgetting and building up their own philosophy to adopt the British way of life. Drinking tea. That is not Indian. Okay? People think, oh, people in India drink tea. No, they learned it from the British. Simple things which are so inherent part of our life actually came from the British, right? So he was trying to reconcile, all these traditions and the Western philosophy. But he realized that his reach is still restricted to Bengal and Orissa, because that's where his action was. That's where he did many important things like discovering the birthplace of Lord Chaitanya. So he was praying to Lord Jagannath that I need somebody who can take this message out. I want this to go out, not just be restricted to Bengal and Orissa, right? And his prayers were answered, and there was a son born to him, and that is Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati was the son of Bhakti Vinod Thakur, born in 1874. And this is the stamp that I just put there that was published earlier this year by Narendra Modi in the memory of 150th year of the appearance of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. Right? So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati was a phenomenal devotee. His name was Bimal Prasad Datta when he was born. And right from his childhood, there are so many stories which made it very clear that he is going to be a great devotee of the Lord. There are so many short stories that you can hear. Some of them are put here on this thing beside me. You can read it. And so it was very clear that he's cut out for something big. And that is why when Bhakti Vinod Thakur was praying, he said, send me a ray of Vishnu. So he wasn't asking for the whole, avatar. He wasn't saying, send me Vishnu. He said, just send me one ray who can make this work possible. And so this was the ray of Vishnu that came into Bhakti Vinod Thakur's home. And he again was very prolific writer. If you read some of his books, you will not understand the English. He was like so advanced literary writer. He established the Gaudiya Math. What does Gaudiya mean? Gaudiya comes from the word Gauda or Gauradesh, which is related to Lord Chaitanya. He established the Gaudiya Math, and he actually went beyond Orissa and Bengal. He established 64 centers during his lifetime across India. Not only that, he had 3 additional centers, one in Rangoon, the other one in Berlin in Germany, and also in England. So he went abroad. He had many disciples. He sent some of these disciples to different parts of the world in an effort to establish Lord Chaitanya's movement. And he was so intense and so outspoken, and his writing was so strong and fierce. He fought back many people who were preaching the wrong philosophy, and that's why he was known as Acharya Kesari, which means the lion guru. So people were afraid of him, so much so that there were a couple of assassination efforts also. People tried to kill him because he was so strong in his philosophical enunciations, right? Very innovative preaching, dramas, dioramas. He tried to do many things across the country. He had printing presses, which is like unheard of at that time, in 3 different parts of the world, because he truly believed that written literature can sometimes be louder than the sound, right? And that's why there is so much emphasis on book distribution even today. And you can see our book teams constantly trying to talk to people and spread the holy name through distribution of books. Very powerful. And that's why it's called Brihat Mridanga, which means loud Mridanga. So the sound of books can be louder than the sound of people and Mridangas, right? So that's the power of his what he did when he was here. And the powerful movement spread across Bengal. And that's when Gaudiya Vaishnavism became established in India as a known movement and a known way of life. He had many disciples. He tried very hard. In 1922, a young person came to meet him. His name was Abhay Charan Devi. And he came with his friends because he had heard about Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati and he wanted to know who he is and just meet him. And when he met Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, he was very transformed. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati saw him across the room and immediately identified him as a very important person. And he spoke to him. And he said, you speak good English, maybe you should write. Or maybe you should talk to other people in English and spread the message. But at that time, Abhay Charan was very young. He went back. 10 years later, he came back and took initiation from Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati. And he was given the name Abhay Charan Aranavinda. And then the journey continued. And he kept in touch with Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, went through his life. This is a picture to depict their initiation process. In 1936, a lot of years had gone by. There was a very important meeting of many Western philosophers and Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati. He communicated with many different types of people. And he said, I have a prediction. However long in the future it may be, one of my disciples will cross the ocean and bring back the entire world. This was something he said in 1936. So he had the same vision as Lord Chaitanya, that we need to take the message of Krishna consciousness outside of India, get to the entire world, because it is so important, this message. So this was 1936. The same year in December 1936, Abhay Charan Aravinda, his disciple, wrote to him. And Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati answered his letter and said, I am fully confident that you can explain in English our thoughts and arguments to the people who are not conversant with the languages of other members. So non-Indian language speaking people he's talking about. This will do much good for yourself as well as your audience. I have every hope that you can turn yourself into a good English preacher if you serve the mission to inculcate the novel impression to the people in general and philosophers of modern age and religiosity. This is the kind of English that Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati wrote. And this was a clear message to his disciple that you need to do something and spread the message in English. This was sent on December 3, 1936, and on January 1st, 1937, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati left the planet. So this was the last instruction to his disciple, Abhay Charan. That Abhay Charan, if you look on your right, everybody look to the right. That is Srila Prabhupada. Okay? So this Srila Prabhupada was that young person who went to meet Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati and got repeated instructions that you should go. You should write in English. You should talk to people in English. Spread the message in English. And so, in 1965, he actually literally crossed the ocean in a boat, in a cargo boat, where there were no other passengers. It was just cargo and the crew of the ship, and reached the Boston Harbor. In 1966, he formed Iskcon, which is the International Society of Krishna Consciousness, in 1966. In the next 10 years, while he was still on the planet, he traveled 14 times across the globe and established over 108 temples in the whole world. Today, there are over 500 temples across the globe. Maybe that's also not a correct number. So that is the potency of following the instructions of your Guru. The Guru had specially empowered, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami had specially empowered Srila Prabhupada to take this message across the world. In 1975, Srila Prabhupada came to Toronto. Many of us were not there. Most of us were not there. And this is a hearsay, I don't know directly because obviously I was not there. But when he was being going around the city, he saw this church and said, if you buy this church, I'll come back. In 1975 to 1976, devotees bought this church. Now that's a whole big story. which I will not get into. It's better that somebody who was actually involved in buying talks about it. And Prabhupada actually came back in 1976. We still have his room upstairs where he stayed in this temple. So it was, where is this all coming to my class? The point I'm trying to make is the vision of Lord Chaitanya, which was carried forward by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who prayed in Jagannath Puri to have a ray of Vishnu come and help him with his mission. Caused the birth of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, the Lion Guru, who had the vision and who established the foundational principles of the Gaudiya Math and the mission of Lord Chaitanya, and instructed Srila Prabhupada to go and spread this mission outside of, not just outside of Bengal and Orissa, and across the world, which was accomplished by Prabhupada. And because of all this today, you all are sitting here. So that makes Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati very relevant to your life. So I want you to reflect on this and understand the importance of these type of devotees, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, and why we honor their appearance and disappearance every single year. And this year being special, the 150th year, is really very remarkably special. So I thank you for listening to this presentation. And is there anybody here? Is she here? Yeah. Yeah, I want to also announce about one of the. Yeah. So, others, yeah, go ahead. What is it? So we have a few minutes. If anybody would like to ask a question, they can come by later. But we have another small thing that we want to do. So as you know, that glorifying devotees like Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, Srila Prabhupada and others is very important for their contribution to our temple, to our lives, to our mission. And so today I want to honor another devotee who has been here for, I think, for 40 years or more. Is she here? Yes. So I want to call upon Her Grace Navdeep Leela Mataji. This really humble devotee probably didn't know that we were going to call her here and embarrass her. But she has been with our temple doing every possible service, from cleaning, from book distribution, DD service, cooking, and I don't think we will ever find anybody who can make better cheesecake. I have had at least one cheesecake from Mataji, and she has finished her work here, and she's embarking on a very exciting. It's just incredible what she's going to be doing. So she's going back to her town. What's the name of it, Mataji? Serbia. In Serbia. Okay, so she's going back to Serbia. And she is going to be engaged in literally whatever money she has saved here, she is putting it all in starting a preaching center in Serbia. It's a very small. So just as we spoke. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, in the footsteps of Srila Prabhupada and her own spiritual master, in trying to spread the glories of Krishna consciousness in every small town and village in Serbia. So, unbelievable. So, thank you so much. I think the temple council is here. If they would like to say a couple of words or give a
thank you, Mother Lovely Leela, for all the beautiful services you have rendered at Iskcon Toronto. This is from Chichor Gopinath, Gauritai, and Srimati Radharani. A special maha for you.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna Mother, thank you for your long service with the Iskcon Toronto, the management, Temple Council. We are blessing you, and you have to bless us also to continue our service. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. On behalf of Srila Prabhupada, His Holiness Bhaktimarga Swami, the GBC, and the entire management team, thank you, Mataji, for all the service for decades. Anyone that's attended a festival here, any festival, you've eaten her cheesecake, and she's labored at her age. She's labored to go out there and produce many sweets. As serving Govinda, she's done a tremendous amount of service. And we're just asking Shishi Radhakirti Gopinath Srila Prabhupada to bless you on your own journey. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mother. Darshan good from all over Iskcon Temple. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. I spent here 30 years. I spent here 30 years. I think it is very positive time for me. I am no big tradition like Indian people who never take meat, but I have experienced what means to live without meat, to become a vegetarian, someone who go in some higher level in my mind, and it is really happened. That means when I start to learn more, just living in temple 3-4 years, I feel that life has some purpose, that everything became higher level, because in material world I didn't find so many satisfaction. I think it's happened many other people between us, who are looking for some better way. I learned here so many things. It is a big center who can help many people, and they have inner book and standard and everything that we came growing up. My message for everybody, because I'm older and I'm here more than in my country, I was fall in love of every service what I did, and I was happy with this. I realized that I'm more calm, that I left behind me some my bad characteristic through this process. If it is some experience who can understand, probably everybody of us, I can recommend everybody to follow Krishna's step.
Thank you so much. That's so amazing to hear. She's going to be starting something in Serbia, which there is a center in the city, but not outside of the city of Serbia. So we have a couple announcements, and then we're going to be lining up for our prashadam dinner as usual. If you can bear with me a few more minutes. So special thanks to today's cooks, Kadvanka Prabhu and family. Thank you very much. Round of applause. We also have 4 Sunday sponsors for our feast, so that's welcome to anyone to participate in. You can go to the front desk to sponsor the Sunday feast for any occasion. And tonight we have 3 donors, sponsors. 2 are anonymous, and 1 is Gambir on the occasion of his daughter's Ria's